The problem is many people tell you practice makes perfect, but this is not the entire truth. Practice doesn't make perfect. What it does is it makes things permanent. And when I coached this doctor, I realized that there were a lot of things that he was doing because nobody told him his blind spot. And we worked together and he identified his blind spot and correct them before his exam. Eventually he passed his exam and he was so relieved to find out that he didn't have to worry about the exam again.
Hi everybody, welcome to today's episode of the MRCGP podcast. And as always, I've gone to look for people who are not just international medical graduates, but could be allies and sponsors and mentors of international medical graduates. People who are pushing the cause of IMG and willing us to get better. And I have no other person than Dr. Erwin Kwan.
Thank you very much for inviting me on your podcast, Hannah. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
I'm really excited. So tell me, Erwin, on this podcast, if you may have noticed, I do not introduce my guest. So who are you?
Great. So my name is Dr. Erwin Kwan. I'm a GP. If you told me 10 years ago that I'll be helping doctors communicate confidently, I'll be laughing at you. Because back then, I was a shy kid, painfully shy. Back in sixth form, I was voted the shyest student of the year. And you can imagine I didn't have much confidence. And then fast forward at university, I was standing in front of an audience of 400 people and I could not say a word. I was completely paralyzed. And this moment was pivotal. It flipped a switch and I realized I was carrying a heavy bag that held me back. And if I didn't break the mold, I would be carrying that forever. So the next thing I did, I enrolled on a speaking course and I learned how to speak, communicate, and express myself. And this really helped me because after learning the communication skill, I realized that I broke a lot of barriers in my career. And fast forward to now, I'm teaching doctors how to communicate with confidence, helping them unlock their career and CCT. So if you say it in a way, I'm helping somebody that I wish I had that teaching back then.
I'm not often short of words, but you really got me there because that picture, that moment where 400 people, university, oh my gosh. Anyway, I'll pause that thought for now and then we will go back to when Erwin was little. Where did you grow up, Erwin?
So I grew up on a small island called Mauritius.
My dream vacation place.
Yeah, it's known for its beaches and nice holidays. So it's a tropical island. So coming to the UK was quite a big shock because the weather here is the opposite. So in the beginning, I felt like I was a little bit down, possibly a bit of seasonal affective disorder. And then I appreciated more the weather when I got back home in Mauritius.
How old were you when you first moved into the UK?
So I was 18 years old. Yeah, 18 years old. And yeah, that was, now I'm thinking back, I've been in the UK for 15 years.
Wow. Oh, you already told us your age. Interesting. So, what made you decide I'm coming to the UK?
So, growing up, I live on a small island. So, I felt like I needed to see other things and broaden my horizon. So, I was looking for more opportunities and I thought I needed to do something. And I was thinking, possibly UK or Australia. But in the end, I went for UK because that's where I got a seat in medical school. And that's where things started. I'm really glad I came to the UK because UK has given me a lot and I've learned a lot from that experience.
Wow. I'm glad you came to the UK as well because what are the odds that we would have met? So tell me a bit more about background. I mean, growing up in my holiday destination, was it exciting? What was it like as as a young boy growing up in Mauritius? What was Mauritius like those days?
So Mauritius is a really laid back country. People enjoy life and it's really good climate, sunny weather. Back then, I used to go to the beach once a week and really enjoy my childhood. I still got the happy memories. At the same time, I was really focused on my studies. And I was spending a lot of time studying as well. Because I was good at science, I thought I wanted to do medicine or engineering. So I wasn't too sure at the time. You know, when you're deciding, it's very difficult to decide at a young age what you want to do. So then what helped me was getting a bit of experience. So I did spend some time at the hospital in Mauritius, and it was helpful to see how doctors were. And I thought that was going to be my dream to become a doctor one day.
So, Erwin, for most African parents, I dare say some Asian families, if you weren't a doctor, you weren't an engineer, you're probably a failure. Was that the same experience if you were coming from Mauritius?
Well, for my family, I'd say my parents did not push me to become a doctor.
Okay.
But they did have expectation that I would get A grades, like Asian parents, they want their children to do well. So I'd say like they were happy if I did something that I enjoy. And as long as it was going to give me a good career. So that's what they wanted for me.
And for your parents to have been able to afford for you to come to medical school in the UK, I dare say you were from an affluent home.
So I'd say we come from like a middle class. My parents made a lot of sacrifices for me to come to the UK. Growing up, I felt like they were putting a lot of effort. And so they were really focused on getting me the best education. And I could see that they had to work hard to get me the education I got.
Wow, we celebrate them. So, you're coming to the UK. Was it your first time on the plane or you had been on holiday?
So actually been to the UK before. So I had an interview in Newcastle University, but it was a disaster. I wasn't prepared. And the panel asked me a question. So why do you want to come here? I couldn't give a good answer because I didn't research well what were the course like in Newcastle. So I just gave it a generic answer and I didn't hear from them afterwards.
Even though you had been on a flight all the way from Mauritius, they didn't give you a place.
Yeah, but that turned out to be a good thing because then I got an interview from University of Manchester. And the good thing about that interview was it was done in Mauritius. So the panel came to Mauritius. I didn't have to fly back. And we did it in Port Louis. It's the capital of Mauritius. And that one, as you can imagine, I was more prepared and I knew what I was going to say.
Yes. And it was your home turf as well. So you're a bit more confident.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So walk me through University of Manchester Medical School days. What were your high points other than that goofing in front of 400 people?
So university was a good phase of my life because I actually reinvented myself. When you're at high school, sixth form, you have these friends around you who have some expectation about how you are. Then when I went to uni, it was a complete change in environment. So I made new friends and I actually broke that mold from being the shy person to try and become more of a social person and not just focus so much on study, but doing other things in life. So I did do a lot of other things and step outside of my comfort zone. And I learned a lot from that. That's when you grow a lot.
Would you say if your secondary school or your sixth form teacher saw you today and saw that you are the one helping other doctors to become confident, will he or she be shocked?
Possibly, yes. Because at school, I was the shyest person and people would not really think that I would be able, and I didn't think I would be able to do that, to be honest.
Well, I'm so proud of you. So not to market anybody, but what speaking group or how did your reinvention come about? Real and practical steps.
So if you think about it, it comes down to internal voice in your head. So the self-talk. So at the time, I was seeing things that was not helping me. So things like, I'm shy, I'll never be confident, I won't be able to do that. Then I had to question it. And one person who really helped me was Dr. Mark, who he passed away now, but he was our family doctor. So he believed in me. He said to me, you can do this and you'll be able to get there. At the time, I didn't have much confidence and my self-belief was really low. So I borrowed his belief and I thought, if he thinks there's something there, then maybe there is something I'm not seeing. Then what I did was I tried a lot of things that were scary, like public speaking, fundraising on the street of Manchester for Red Cross, and doing things that I would not have done if I was still in Mauritius. And I learned a lot from speaking with people, and I gained a lot of skills till this day I'm using. So I'd say first thing you have to do is question this self-talk. The second thing is take action, because you don't actually become a public speaker just by actually thinking about it. You have to get into the arena and do it. It's a bit like if you're swimming, you're not going to learn swimming if you stay dry. You have to get wet, get in the water. So I did that, and I failed, and I stood up and kept going and kept showing up. And over time, then it becomes second nature.
Absolutely, you are right. When you're talking about swimming, I said, me every day sitting on TikTok watching people going to the gym, and I'm saying, these apps, that's going to be me, that's going to be me. But I never get up and go to the gym. That is kind of like me trying to do public speaking and not putting myself out there. We need to step out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely. I mean, it's good when you're watching a video, you get inspired, and that may be the trigger point. And then the next thing is taking action, which a lot of people, they don't take that next step.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think recently I made a post on LinkedIn and I was saying that knowledge is not power. Because if knowledge was power, probably nobody would be obese. We'll never have any metabolic syndrome because we all know that smoking is not good, but you need to take that action. So absolutely, we need to put yourself out there. And look what has come of you by making that move.
Yeah, I mean, when you take action, it's always good when you look back where you come from and see that journey, because sometimes I have to say you have doubts, and I did have a lot of doubts on the way, and you just need to put one foot in front of the next and keep moving forward, that 1% better every day. It compounds over time, and you won't realize how much you would grow. That journey in itself is so enriching.
Absolutely, Erwin. You are dropping lots of pearls of wisdom. So you started by saying auto-suggestion. Drop the negative thoughts, say good things to yourself. And then you had the doctor who believed in you, pushed you. You didn't rest on your oars, you took action. And we are here now.
Yes. So I think if somebody is listening to this, maybe they're saying to themselves they can't do something or they're feeling defeated in life. You have to know that everyone faces battles in life and life tests us. And the only way you fail is if you give up on yourself. But if you don't give up, you keep going. Sometimes there might be different ways that you have to approach something. Then maybe you have to pivot and change. But don't forget what's your North Star. And if you keep going in the right direction, eventually you get there.
So we finished medical school. You're doing the impossible. You're joining Red Cross. You're approaching people on the streets, raising funds. You're doing public speaking. Right. So after medical school, how did you spend your time?
So after medical school, I went through the foundation training program, but there was an issue there. So I didn't get a job because foundation program is oversubscribed, and I was on the waiting list. So it was quite anxious time for me because I've worked so much and sacrificed 5 years of my life, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to get a job. And right now, I know a lot of GPs are struggling, newly qualified GPs not sure whether they were going to find a job. And at the time, what I did was I did the best I can to be a good candidate. So even if I wasn't sure whether I was going to get a job, I did apply to other countries, even applied to Singapore to see whether I could get a job there. And luckily, it turned out that I eventually got a job in Yorkshire. So I didn't need to relocate somewhere else. But when you have faith and you still put one foot in front of the other and look at the other options, you still get that chance of getting a job. You make yourself more of, for example, the way I see it is like life is a bit like a canvas. So how you spread this luck is how much preparation you put in. So the more preparation you do, the more things you do, you spread it. And then the luck is going to hit somewhere.
You're sharing your philosophy. So my 6 a.m. alarm, when it rings, what it displays on it is that success is when opportunity meets preparedness. So This is what I see every morning when my alarm goes. Success is when opportunity meets preparedness. When the opportunity comes, you need to be prepared. That is only when you get that boom to get the success.
Absolutely. I resonate with that because so many times we hear overnight success, but we don't know the full story behind.
It's only on TikTok. Yes. It's only on TikTok that you get 1 million views overnight. It's not in real life.
And I'm glad that you're so curious about the journey of the person. And in this podcast, I've seen how you unravel the story of the person and the person's journey. That's really important. If you want to be successful, study the journey of the people you look up to.
Because success leaves clues.
Absolutely, yeah.
Success leaves clues. I'm sure failure does as well. So you finally managed to get into foundation year, and you said you were prepared to push boundaries, even go to Singapore. And we know the times that we are in. So just to sidetrack slightly, we know that now getting into training post is like gold dust. What would you advise are some of the things people could do to make them a better candidate for these training options whilst they wait?
So I think if somebody wants to go into GP training, I would say take a step back first and ask yourself, what's the reason you want to become a GP? Because GP is not good for everybody. And sometimes I've seen this. Some trainees who go into GP training, but they are not cut for it and they don't enjoy it. And afterwards, they try and retrain or do something else. So what I would say first is ask yourself, what is it that you want to do in life? There's many opportunities, even outside of medicine. But if you want to do GP training and you know that's for you, you're interested in people's life, you want to help them, and you're prepared to work hard because it's not easy, then what you can do is get a bit of experience how a GP clinic runs. And there are ways that you can gain that experience, because if you taste it, then you would know and ask questions to the GPs and look how they are, whether they're happy. So back at med school, when I was doing some work experience in my placement, I was shadowing a GP then. And I realized that this GP was just doing one clinic and one patient after the other, and not really putting in much effort in listening to the person and being interested in that person's story. It was just more like another patient, another number. And I thought to myself, this person is not happy. And I would never want to be like that. But it's only when I became a GP, now realize how it's so easy to get into a routine and fall to being that doctor. And now I understood, okay, so you have to still remember why you're doing it and know that there's meaning in it. And that way you will feel fulfilled regardless of whether how hard the job is, you still be able to do it. And in medicine, what's fascinating is that we get the chance to understand a person and not just the symptoms, but the story. And if you're curious, you like to hear the stories, it's really rewarding. You can also make an impact on the person's life.
Erwin, I totally agree with you. I'm probably one of the few doctors who might say this, but I tell my friends and family, those who are intimates and care to know, that I could go to work for free because it's such an enjoyable position. You have people telling you things. People would open up and tell you lots of things like, my God, just because of the privilege you have of being a GP. And I am a people's person. I enjoy good stories. So which other job would I have where I would get to know, I'll be privy to all this information. So yes, I wouldn't mind working for free if you'd give me the time to deep dive and talk to my patients. I enjoy it thoroughly.
That's great. Yeah. And I think, you have to enjoy what you're doing. At the same time, we have to recognize in the UK, we're having an issue. This goodwill that doctors have is wearing off now. We're seeing it. Yes, doctors are willing to go above and beyond, but you have to recognize them, value them. Otherwise, you're going to leave. And the problem is the system is not working for doctors, it's not working for patients. And we're seeing that problem. And hopefully there will be things improving and we will going to see some changes. But there might be some issues and things might get a little bit worse before the pendulum swings back.
I'm with you on that. So let's come back to you, Erwin. You could have done anything in the UK. Why did you choose to be a GP?
So great question, Hannah. So in med school, I was thinking about going into ophthalmology. And actually, I had a taste of ophthalmology. I applied for it. I thought that's what I wanted to do. But then what happened was that I had a placement in FY2 in GP. And I realized that it's actually a good job. And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the story, the variety. Was when I did the ophthalmology course, it was a microsurgical skill. I noticed that I don't have good hand-eye coordination. So if you're doing microsurgical operation, it's really hard. It was going to be more of a hard thing for me to do and learn. Was being a GP, I really enjoy it. So less hard for me to do it. So I knew what was my strength and it was not my strength. That way I try and thought maybe I should apply for something else here. And then that's when I started considering GP more seriously and went into GP training.
I'm happy about how you are very accountable with yourself. You quickly did a self-assessment and said, listen, I know I like this, but my hand-eye coordination is not the best. I found an alternative. Perhaps I could pivot and go there, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you have to be honest with yourself.
To their own self be true.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad about that. So what year did you enter training and what was the process like?
So I entered training in 2017. At that time, you had to go over 2 stages. So you had the paper test that you had to do, and then this interview. So I think before that, I did the MSRA as well. So then you get a score, then you had the 2 tests, the written one, and then the interview. So I remember I did that in Cardiff.
Wow. Yeah. I remember I did my interview in London. I don't remember whereabouts it was, but it was a big hall in London, and then there were about 3 or 4 scenarios, one with the patients, one with a colleague, and I've forgotten what the third one was, but there was a written part that was scored over 16.
Right, yeah.
Well, I did mine in 2017, but I started training in 2018. So yes, I remember what the story was like around that time. But I heard it's now all gone digital. The interview is on Teams.
All right, okay.
So yeah, it's changed a bit now. So where did you have your training?
So I did my GP training in Swansea.
Oh,
So
okay.
I came back to somewhere near the sea because I think that's my happy place. So I like to be near the beach, going for a walk after work. It's quite nice there.
It must be, yeah. And what was training like for you?
So training was good, and I had a mix of experience. So in my first year, I did care of elderly, and then I did obs and gynae. So, when you're working in hospital, you have this long shift. And at the time, the good thing was that there was a bedroom they gave doctors who were doing night shift. But now I think that's gone now. So I don't know where the doctors are resting. And then in the second and third year, I did in a small practice, which had a branch surgery. And really good practice, well run, and I learned a lot. I'm still in touch with the supervisor I had there. And then
That's beautiful.
third year, I actually went in a larger practice. And this large practice taught me a lot about how to streamline care, how to use other team members. And it was really good because I could see both sides of the general practice, from a small practice to a big practice. And I learned a lot from the large practice, how you utilize resources, and more into a bit of management of GP practice.
Absolutely. It's really comes in handy when trainees get to see in real life how practices are managed, because then when you become a GP finally, and you get the opportunity to become a partner, it's not all textbook, because you've had a bit of a taste. And I'm not a proponent of finish training and immediately become a partner, but it's each to their own. I would rather have my feelers out and see what things look like. And again, it helps with your exams, isn't it? Because there's that main part of the exams, and it doesn't have to be all theory.
Yeah. So yeah, partnership is different responsibilities. So you're having to manage a lot of people, you're having to manage finance, and there's risk. So you as a newly qualified GP, it is a big jump. I agree with you.
Absolutely. One of my partners, he used to say that it's not for nothing that it's called partnership, and that being a GP partner is like getting married. If it goes wrong, it can be really expensive.
Absolutely.
So you have to be careful who you choose, because if it goes wrong, ouch.
Yeah. And it's stressful. It's very stressful to be a partner. One of my friends actually joined a partnership really early in his career. And he had to go through a lot of learning, and it was a steep learning curve. But now his partnership is stable. So there are 2 partners, and they're managing a good practice where the patients are very satisfied with their care. So yeah, like there's a lot of learning in it. But if that's what you want to do, then there is a lot of reward in it as well.
I suppose, yes. I'm not a partner, so I can't speak to it. But yeah, I suppose it is. You currently help people with their exam process, particularly with the second part. And the second part, it's amusing. Over the past 5 years, it's gone through different nomenclatures. I started as RCA, SCA, And then it's moved. You would know better because you are more updated. What have the names been?
So yeah, it changed through. First, we had the CSA that was running for quite a while. Then the pandemic hit, and they couldn't do the CSA where you had to go to London and be assessed. So they moved it into remote consultation virtually. So then it became recorded. So then it became recorded consultation assessment. So recorded consultation assessment is where you record actual consultation in your practice. So it could be telephone consultation or face-to-face consultation. But then there were some issues with that, because imagine if you're in a practice where you've got patients who might not be speaking English, and you might have a different type of patient population, then there was not standardized. And so then the college decided that the RCA was good for the COVID pandemic, but then they had to replace it. And now we've got the simulated consultation assessment. So this examination is done remotely, and the candidates will get 12 consultation. Usually it's a mix of remote video consultation and telephone consultation. And you're being assessed, you have 12 minutes per consult. So you have to do 12 consultation on one day. It's like you're running a surgery, but it's remote, and the patients are role players.
How was your personal experience during your time of your exams?
So it was really a funny one. I was training and hoping to sit the CSA. So I was hoping that I'll go to London and sit the exam. But then the pandemic hit and they were locked down, so I couldn't sit it. So then they changed it to recorded consultation assessment. So I had to record my consultation and send it for the marking. So it was quite stressful because it was a new exam, and also the time was very limited. So at the time, we were required to send 10 minutes consultation. But then afterwards, because of the complexity and the fact that in real life, patients are talking a bit more than role players, usually this consultation run longer. So then we had to do it like over 12 minutes. Then the college did change it. But I think for my own submission, it was within 10 minutes at the time. But then it was changed later. But my main learning experience from there was when you record your consultation and review it, you learn so much about your own consultation. You learn what are the things that you say, how you say it, how you look. And then I spent a lot of hours with my trainer reviewing these recordings. And I think the RCA hijacked part of my training.
Absolutely. I mean, about the recorded consultations, if anybody asks me who is a trainee, I say, do it and start it early. I know yours will come with simulated patients, but do it and start it early. Why do I say so? Because we all have certain mannerisms. For me, I used to roll my eyes a lot, you know, and sometimes it could appear a bit rude. So if I asked you something, let's say, how much do you smoke? And the patient said, not a lot. And I said, oh yeah, but how much? And he said 10. I said, 10. And I'll roll my eyes.
Yeah.
But this is something that I didn't know I did. But then I was caught on camera. I was caught with my hand in the cookie jar, rolling my eyes at patients whenever I asked them these questions. And no malice. It's just that it was a bad habit that I had picked up for many years. And so it took someone, my trainer, to look at it and say, look, Hannah, this is what you've been doing. So if you are sitting in your room and you're thinking, oh, I'm having really consultation with my patient, but you don't record it and so no one can assess it. No one can pick up on these things that you do. And then finally you take it to the exams and it might not go very well. So yes, record it. I know it's a simulated one, but get the patient's consent. If they are happy, if you get a trainer who is happy to come along, record it early and then get to watch yourself.
Absolutely. Which exam did you do, Hannah?
I did what you did, but mine was 12 minutes.
Right. Okay.
So it was after, I wasn't part of the initial one because I was on maternity leave. By the time I came back from maternity leave, they had played around with it a bit. And mine was a bit of a confusion about whether we should examine or not examine, you know, which part. So it was still a funny conundrum. It wasn't quite certain. But I'm grateful I passed both my AKT and my RCA on first attempt.
Yeah, so that's the best thing. Like if you pass first attempt, that's the best because you don't really want to go back and do it. Yeah. Help trainees going through that process is really painful.
And I always say it with caution that it wasn't because I was an exceptional student, you know. I mean, I enjoy consultation, I enjoy people, but I don't think I passed because I was the best I just knew how to pass.
Yeah.
And it is something that people often take for granted, you know. They think that it takes the most intelligent person to pass an exam. No, there's a method to the madness. There's a way to pass an exam, and you must know how to pass an exam. So I just knew how to pass their exams, and that's what I did.
Great. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you think about it, as an examiner who is assessing these cases, what they're looking for is they're looking whether you're safe for independent practice. And if you can show that, then they would be able to give you a score you deserve.
So I went to medical school originally. This is not my show. You're making me talk too much, Erwin. I went to medical school in Ghana, Erwin, and it was at my latter part of my training that we started with the OSCE. So we used to do the long cases and short cases. And the long cases and short cases were very subjective, you know. The consultant could say, I don't like your hair. I don't like how your nails are done. And there was no breakdown, you know. So if you did a cardiovascular exams, he could just decide to give you 2 out of 10 because he doesn't like what you sound like. Whereas with the OSCE, if you mentioned your name, you got 1 tick. If you said hello, you got 1 tick. If you washed your hand, you got 1 tick. So the OSCE became really subjective assessments that you knew why you passed. You could actually even call for your assessments so that in future you could use it. And I think that's very much what these RCAs are. The sad part is that because we are so many, they are not able to give us a proper feedback. You know, the feedbacks that we get from the college is really generic. I don't know what the latest one is, but it wasn't specific. So if someone said, oh, I failed my exam, and you saw the feedback, you couldn't even say, oh, maybe next time do this or do that, because it was a bit copy and paste. It wasn't specific to the scenario. So that was what it was being. But generally, I think such exams are a bit more easier to pass than what I experienced when I was in medical school.
Well, I think you raise a good point, because I've heard it from IMGs who feel disheartened about the SE exam. And they feel that sometimes it's not a fair exam. And obviously, the examiners, they are human beings, so it introduces subjectivity in the judgment. So if you speak with a few examiners, you ask them about the case, they might all have different opinion about it, because they are thinking through their own lens. And then recently I spoke with a GP trainee whose trainer is an examiner, and trainer was saying, you're doing well and I think you'll pass. But when the results came, the trainee was disappointed because she missed it by quite a bit. And the thing is, you have to be careful about what you want to believe. So yes, there is some subjectivity, but there are things you can't control, but there are things that are in your control. What you can control is how you show up, how you talk, how you prepare. And like you said before, preparation and luck, where that meets, that's where you get success. So the more you prepare, the more lucky you will be, because you might get cases that you have done before and done it well. Yeah. So success happens when you prepare. The better you prepared, the more lucky you will get. And what I want IMGs to know is that it's not a level playing field. You know, when you see the stat that 1 in 2 IMGs are not passing the SCA, it's because when you were actually coming to the UK, you're coming at a different level to a UK graduate. The UK graduates, they have experience of the NHS for many years. In their medical school years, they were going through communication skill training. So you can't really think that it's a level playing field. You have to put in that work and catch up in the beginning. And if you accept that and you put in the work, then you can pass on your first attempt as well. Like Hannah passes on her first attempt, and I've seen many trainees scoring well for the exam. So you need to put in that work that's in your control.
I totally agree with you. That yes, it's possible, you know. The odds are against us, but it's possible. And you've already mentioned about the mindset. Because if you really think that you can't do it, then you can't. I mean, you can talk more about it because you are the coach.
So yeah, mindset plays a big part in it. A story I'd like to share is Roger Bannister is a British medical student. At the time, people were thinking human beings can't run a mile under 4 minutes. But he was the first man to run a mile under 4 minutes. And after he did that, not only did he break the record, but he changed the mindset. So he broke a ceiling in people's mind. And later, many other people went and actually run a mile under 4 minutes and even broke his record. So The first thing is when you see somebody else doing it, you see that proof. It changes your limiting belief, you break it down, and then you start believing you can do it. And then you see the progress when you're taking action, and eventually you'll get there and you pass.
And that is why we run podcasts like these, to make it seem that it's not fiction. It's real life. We are here. We've done it. You can do it too.
Yeah. So if right now you're feeling a bit stuck, don't lose hope and don't isolate yourself. Get the right support. Make sure that you're in a good environment. Because if you're around people who are negative, they're going to make you feel like you can't do it. You have to be around people who can give the best preparation or show you how to do it. Your trainers, your mentors, people who are going to believe in you. Like me, when I didn't believe in myself, somebody else believed in me, and it helped me to unlock the next step.
Absolutely. Erwin, in your journeys over these years where you've been supporting trainees, but I see more of international medical graduates who have been given fantastic testimonies about you. What has been one of your highest moments? So I was going to ask you as a twofold question. We'll talk about the highest moments and then the lowest one. You go first. Which one you prefer?
So the highest moment is meeting a doctor called Inamuna Berega in my coaching career. He was stuck in his training and he sat his exam 4 times and he had one last exceptional attempt. And this was going to make or break his career. And Dr. Inamuna was not somebody who was not practicing enough. He actually worked hard. And the problem is, many people tell you, practice makes perfect. But this is not the entire truth. Practice doesn't make perfect. What it does is it makes things permanent. And when I coached this doctor, I realized that there were a lot of things that he was doing because nobody told him his blind spot. And we worked together. And he identified these blind spots and correct them before his exam. Eventually, he passed his exam, and he was so relieved to find out that he didn't have to worry about the exam again. And now he's enjoying his life in the north of England, working. So seeing that journey, how he went from a place of desperation, he had to speak with his GPs and get help, to a place of inspiration, and now he's flourishing. That gives me a lot of reward. And that's one of the highs that I'm really grateful that I can get to experience. So yeah, that was one of the highest point when I see that journey of one of my mentees.
The low point.
So the low point, I would say, is sometimes when you do what you're doing, you start thinking that you're doing it, but then you lose that fire inside. And I remember when that happened, it was because I was doing too much. So I was coaching a lot of trainees, and because I was doing so much, I wasn't enjoying it that much. And I realized that maybe now it's getting to a point where I'm doing a bit too much and I'm losing that satisfaction. And then I had to scale it back a little bit. Because when you do one-to-one coaching, you're giving a lot of energy, you're investing in that person. And you have to operate from a place where your cup is not empty. And my cup was really empty at the time. And I had to refill my cup. And then I'll be able to give more. And that was really important part of what I realized, is that I can't do it on an empty cup. So that was a low point. But then I spoke with another mentor who also gave me some insight about what I was doing. You know, sometimes when you bounce back ideas and reflect with somebody else, you get a different perspective. And from now on, I do appreciate that sometimes what you're doing, you have to be thinking about your own needs and whether you're in a good position as well in life. Otherwise, you can't really help others.
Absolutely, I'm with you. You can't pour from an empty cup and you can't give what you don't have. You need to replenish yourself, make sure you're in a good place before you can give up. And I'm impressed with your level of accountability and self-assessment to say, I wasn't in a good place and I needed to top up.
Absolutely, yeah.
Erwin, what would you like to be remembered for or remembered as? If anybody should mention, oh, do you know Dr. Erwin Kwan? What would you want to be associated with you?
That's a hard question. I mean, when I think about that question, you might think about, you want to be remembered as somebody who's done really good things in this life. But at the same time, I've got a different perspective now. A few years ago, if you asked me that question, I would have told you I want to be remembered as somebody who's helping doctors and doing this and that. But now I realize that life is so short. And despite everything I'm doing right now, I will be forgotten. So I need to live the life that I really feel like I'm actually making the most of my life. And if it is impacting other people, helping them, that's great. So what I want to be remembered as is I've lived a good life. And the way you get to do that would be not just the impact, but also what the closest people around you remember you for. Because if I'm be remembered by other people, but around my close circle, I actually sacrifice that, then I don't think that's success to me. So I have really think about what success really means to me. And I think it does change with new perspective. So I would say I'd like to be remembered for somebody as I care for people and I want them to flourish in life.
Erwin, that was really, really deep. Beyond our conversations that we've had, is there any closing remarks you would have for IMGs, all of us? Anything you want to share?
So for IMGs, my message is if you've come to this country, you've already shown a lot of grit and you've put in effort. So you've done already a lot of work, and it is not an easy journey, but the work itself that you're doing is working on you. So you're getting better by putting in that work. Don't think it's a waste, because sometimes it can feel very demoralizing. I know how it feels when I came from Mauritius. Sometimes you can feel like an outsider. But the thing is, even if you don't have enough resources today, you are resourceful. You are somebody who have left everything to come in a new country and rebuild yourself. And I think that puts you at an advantage. So play to your strength.
Play to your strength. Fantastic. I'm certainly not going to let you go without talking about the elephant in the room, race. Have you ever been a victim of racism or anything that smells like this in your career here in the UK?
So race is definitely something that I have experienced. So in terms of how I perceive it, is it says more about the other person than me if they are actually making a comment. Or I remember vividly, I was on a ward round. We're doing a ward round in a care of elderly ward, and one of the patients actually made a comment about a consultant, and she said, I want to see a white consultant. And the consultant was a little bit annoyed and upset about it because she was a very senior consultant in that ward, and that patient made a remark like that. But she did not take it personally, and she realized that some people, maybe they've been used to doing this or they have their own reasons, but don't let it get under your skin. And I don't let it, like, people think that it's because of race or something. It's not something that I will allow to affect me.
Because you have a good strength of character and you know yourself. You have a good self-worth.
Yeah, it's difficult when, like, you're not really sure and you think that it's your problem, but it's not your problem, it's their problem.
Erwin, I've thoroughly enjoyed having this conversation with you. And I know and I hope that our audience have felt the same way about me. Where can we find you if I need tutorial support as an IMG going through my exams? Where can I find you?
So you can find me on YouTube. So there's Dr. Erwin Kwan. You can go over the channel. There's a lot of resources on the channel. You will see the IMG success stories, how they went from a place of desperation to inspiration. And if you want to contact me directly, you can email me erwinkwan@gmail.com. And I'll be more than happy to see whether I can help you.
Fantastic. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and do see Dr. Kwan. The feedbacks, I've seen the testimonials. It's been fantastic. Until we meet next time, it's bye for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Bye-bye.